This video will contain content not suitable for all viewers. It's about true crime stuff, so viewer discretion is advised. True crime YouTube is a genre that has exploded in the last few years and really become one of the most popular mainstays of the online world. Channels like JCS Psychology, Wendigoon, and many others have risen to the forefront and built huge audiences from talking about morbid, obscene, and disturbing stuff. Now, full disclosure, I like a lot of these channels, I find the stuff they do interesting, but one of those channels has gone too far, and I think it's something that more people should be talking about because it honestly disgusts me. True crime YouTuber charging audience for autopsy photo of murder victim. Zavgirl mostly covers breaking news stories and new releases of footage or new information from various true crime stories, such as the Chris Watts case. But most recently, she decided to cover the story of Gannon Stotch. He was an 11-year-old boy from Colorado who was a part of what seemed to be a grand old happy family, but in January of 2020 he went missing and nobody knew where he went. His body was then found in a suitcase under a bridge hundreds of miles away in Florida. As it turns out, his 39-year-old stepmother was the main suspect in the case, and she recently was sentenced to life in prison for her crime. And for context of just how horrific this was, Stotch apparently stabbed him 18 times before hitting him in the head and shooting him. Extremely brutal stuff here. It's a horrific crime. It's disgusting, and obviously when you're talking about a case like that, you need to tread lightly. You need to kind of, you're on thin ice. It's a disturbing case, and it's very recent as well. Prosecutors in the case claim that Stotch killed Gannon to hurt her husband, who was away at a National Guard deployment at the time of Gannon's disappearance and death. The judge also said he believes Stotch was motivated by hatred and jealousy of Gannon's mother, Lauren Bullard, according to AP. Before Stotch's sentencing in court on Monday, Gannon's father spoke to the courtroom and requested that her sentencing include a year for every mile she drove from Colorado to Florida, where she dumped Gannon's body in 2020, according to local affiliate Fox 21 News. The outlet reported that the judge told Stotch, "You took away everything Gannon was and everything he could have been." So this family's having a very hard time, obviously. They're grieving, and the perpetrator, who was Gannon's father's wife, his stepmother, has just been sentenced to life in prison. It's so horrific that it feels like something out of a movie. Well, naturally, true crime YouTubers got a hold of this, and one of the people who picked up on the story was Zavgirl. But instead of covering the story in a tasteful manner and doing it justice and just trying to detail all of the facts of the situation, she had a different approach. She decided to charge $3 a month on her Patreon page for people to view photos of the kid's dead body. And not only that, but she's now defending this decision in statements where she basically makes the case that yes, she did do that, but this is transformative content, okay? She's not ripping anyone off. She's transforming the content of the autopsy photos, and that's what makes it okay, guys. That's what makes it fine, okay? She's no plagiarist. She's not stealing anything. She is making content. Hey you all, so I got a bunch of Letitia Stotch case files I'm going to be releasing. So there's some new videos and info, and also some videos I played in court, but the quality wasn't the best, so I have the originals where it's not from a recording of a crooked TV screen. Lol. So if you're interested, keep your eyes out for my videos. I'm going to get them out as fast as I can. There's some that might take me longer, because for instance, all the text messages I like to read for you. So those will take me some time, but I'm going to try to get them out as soon as I can. And the comments of this are filled with people talking about how gross it is that she decided to release photos of the kid's mangled and destroyed body on her Patreon for profit. A BA in psychology? I find that hard to believe. You didn't imagine the backlash you would get for doing something so reprehensible, for re-victimizing a family by distributing autopsy photos of a child behind a paywall. I hope you're happy with the money you've made exploiting a victim. Victims you claim to give a voice to. Zav, as you know, I've watched you for many years. I even called in to defend you on Queen Bee's channel when they were attacking you for your approach on the Kylie Rodney case. But this situation with Gannon's autopsy photos is just inexcusable. To say that I'm disappointed is an understatement. I'm disturbed. Thought you were better than to do that. Also, your catty dismissive comments to your viewers who disagree with you featuring graphic images of a murdered child makes it so much worse. You did not have any children. If you did, you would feel differently. My son is the same age as Gannon. What you did is wrong, and you need to do some serious soul searching. Bye, Tiff. Now, after seeing all this controversy and some articles published about it, Zavgirl decided to make a long public statement talking about it and why she feels she did not do anything wrong here, which is insane to me because when you're doing this true crime stuff, there's a level of integrity and a sort of line you have to walk, right? Because at the end of the day, all true crime videos are in nature somewhat exploiting this stuff, right? But you have to do it in the right way and do it tastefully in a way that won't upset the victims, won't upset the families involved, and is not, directly making money off of something so obscene, right? You can make money off of the story, but making money off of distributing pictures of the dead kid, that's obviously a step too far. Well, here's what Zavgirl said, because she apparently doesn't feel bad for this at all.
I have followed the Letitia Stout case closely, and it was actually during the trial that I made the official records request. I requested all the video, audio, and written records. I made no request for autopsy photos. I wanted all trial records, but my main interests were interviews with Letitia. The autopsy photos just happened to be in the files. I believe many of my images were already shown during the televised trial, and I saw the photos on other public YouTube channels that live streamed the trial and shared the evidence. I didn't think any of the images were new. These photos were already public, although the video I put together with the coroner's voice was my own creation. I chose to put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence. Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security, and I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon, and I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum, where the views would have allowed me to make more money, and the photos would be seen by more people. Because the video was placed behind a paywall, rumors about the images not being blurred or being different than what was shown in trial started to surface. No photos shows genitalia. I have made no jokes about the photos. I don't even cuss on my channel, and I would never allow derogatory remarks about a victim. I realized my intentions were not communicated well. My channel style is sort of me hanging out with friends and speaking off the cuff, and I did not articulate my reasons or think my decision through. At this time, my Patreon website has been shut down. I am not sharing any of the photos or video anywhere, although you can see the photos published on other popular channels. Nothing you see is from me, nor will ever be. To Gannon's family, I have no words that can make this better. No one should have to ever go through what you guys have been through. I am so very sorry for any pain that I have caused you.
She tried to make like an intellectual argument as to why she needed to distribute this and why she did nothing wrong. Big brain take here. I want to address what's going on right now with the Gannon autopsy / coroner video I created. Unfortunately, this seems to be something where people are very divided on how they feel about it, and I'm hearing a lot from both sides. Let's be real, you're not hearing from both sides. You're hearing one side angry at you, and then you are in your own little corner in your hug box being like, well guys, we need to hear both sides of the aisle, okay? Maybe there's people who agree with me. Nobody agrees with you. The reality of the situation is that different people feel differently about this. Some people genuinely think making a video including the autopsy photos is bad, and I respect their opinion and feelings. Other people, like myself, think of autopsy photos and the coroner discussing / explaining them as interesting and informative and are able to view them in a more scientific, detached way. It's just one of those things where it depends on the person. I'm not adamantly against taking down the video if people are truly unhappy with it, and I will absolutely consider doing this. But right now, it seems that there are a lot of other people who are acting in bad faith and creating lies for fun and excitement in order to pit others against me. I understand some of you have issues with me charging money on Patreon for the video. If I was charging money for the autopsy files alone or something like that, I'd see your point. But in this case, I spent a lot of time and worked hard. You worked hard, really, putting together a video lining up the coroner's audio and descriptions, along with the appropriate part of the photo she's describing, and editing it together to try and make it as informative as possible for the viewer. That is what I am charging for, which I would hope you can agree is understandable. I actually do not agree. It's not understandable. It's straight up deplorable. It's not like she's just releasing this material publicly for people to have for archival purposes or anything like that. This is not education. She's advertising the photos of a dead kid's body as a way for her to make money. It's extremely disturbing to spread these types of images so carelessly. Unlike most cases where there's an argument for educational or documentary context, this feels like a step over the line, as this directly exploiting the victim and the family's misfortune for a spectacle. You're capitalizing on the demand to see an 11-year-old's dead body and marketing yourself with it and monetizing it. You're withholding info from the public, which firstly undermines any potential altruistic purpose or educational purpose. You're withholding that, instead trying to profit from dangling the photo of a dead child's body in front of your audience. It feels similar to the Porsche girl case, where the family was constantly reminded of the worst moment of their lives because once it got online, the internet spammed them with photos of their daughter's mangled corpse. Like, if this is so educational, please explain the educational value or constructive benefit of showing this to anyone, and please explain why charging $3 a month is necessary for that as well. Like, if it is for that purpose, which is already pretty out there and dumb in my mind, but whatever, maybe we could take your word for it, why do you need to directly make money from it? To me, it feels like you got a hold of these photos and were like, ooh, how can I directly profit from pictures of a dead person? I got the scoop. How can I make this into content in the most tasteless manner possible? It really is nasty, man. Now, Gannon Stach's father also did an interview talking about this and how he finds it pretty reprehensible, and it forced him to relive the trauma of the situation, which, like, obviously it did.
We just finished the trial just over 2 months ago, Brian, and now we're having to kind of relive some of this stuff and not being able to put it behind us.
I think for me, like, what really pushed it over the edge was the charging the money. I mean, obviously posting it alone would be disgusting, but then charging money to see those photos, it's really, really just awful.
The word I use to describe it is evil, Brian. The world got enough information from the trial to have every discussion they want to have? Why do we need to go have a freedom of information request and pay for this kind of information and then dishonor my son by putting these photos out there like that? I mean, the world got to see it. I don't know how well you followed it, but the only day I chose not to come to the trial was the day that they showed the autopsy photos. Now I feel like I can't even go on YouTube without the possibility of accidentally coming across these photos.
Now, when asked if he would pursue legal action, Al Stotch said, "I'm just emotionally and psychologically and financially maxed out from the last 3+ years of this process. To take legal action, I don't know if I have that in me." So it seems like she's not going to get sued or anything like that. He's not going to, really target her. He just doesn't have it emotionally in him. And I don't blame him for that. That being said, I hope Zav Girl learns her lesson here and does not do something like this again, because it reflects poorly on the true crime community in general. And beyond that, the more important issue, obviously, is that it clearly hurt one of the victims in this case. I think that when covering stuff like this, you have to be super careful with how you report it and conduct yourself, and it sucks to see someone go about it in such a scummy way. You guys know me, I'm not really someone to moral F-slur about a lot of this stuff, because I find that really cringy, but with this one in particular, I found it pretty outrageous and insulting, and I don't know, I feel for the family. I hope that nobody does stuff like this again, even though they undoubtedly will at some point. Hopefully, at least everyone involved in this situation learns their lesson. And if you liked this video, consider becoming a member. For $5 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts, unreleased videos, and the members-only Minecraft server. Thanks so much to all of my YouTube members who fund my content.